What's your next quote?
Read the books. That's my next quote, is read the
Yeah,
books.
I fucking hate you.
Page
I swear to God, you're such a
7.
fucking dick.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Glass Candle Podcast, where we look at what is, what could be, and what will come in A Song of Ice and Fire. My name is Arik.
And I'm Lillian, and we admin over at the A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones Discussions and Theories Facebook group.
Alright, so Lillian, what chapter are we talking about today?
We are doing a Game of Thrones Tyrion IX.
Tyrion IX. So the way we do things here at the GCP, so we're going to go for a quick chapter summary. We're going to discuss who the main character was. It's not always the POV narrator. We're going to figure out who had the biggest influence over that character and why. Knowing how the future plays out, we discuss what the character should have tried to do differently to avoid that result. We take a look at how the actions in this chapter affect the other plots and storylines. Alternative POV, so what other person's viewpoint of the events in this chapter would you have liked to see it from? We move over to quotes, standout appearances, and then we close out with theories or whatever. Really drawing away from the theories portion. So, with that out the way, Lillian, go ahead for our #high-level summary.
Alright, so the chapter opens with the Lannister captains and bannermen receiving reports on the Whispering Wood. Jaime has been captured and his host has been smashed. Edmure has been rescued. Some bannermen have lost hope and suggest suing for peace. Tyrion points out any chance at peace was lost when Joffrey took Ned's head. Tywin sends everyone but Tyrion and Kevan away. We learn that Renly has married Margaery Tyrell and named himself king. Cersei has ordered the Lannister forces to defend King's Landing. Tywin orders the Riverlands burned and announces his intent to take up residence at Harrenhal and sends Tyrion to King's Landing to act as hand in his stead. Tyrion questions whether Cersei will allow it, and Tywin goes on a rant about all of the things going wrong because of Joffrey and his jackanapes. I like that word. The chapter closes with Tywin commanding Tyrion not to bring the whore to court, and Tyrion deciding to take the whore anyway. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, you kind of insinuated that Robb took River Run. So Robb has taken River Run.
Yeah, there was so much detail in what happened during Whispering Wood. I didn't want to go through everything.
Yeah. Just a big recap of what's happened in the Riverlands War since we last hung out with Tywin. So who is the main character here? Who is the chapter focus on? I said Tywin. I think it's Tywin because you have all of his men in that room, and obviously, the leader of a faction is gonna, have a commanding presence and, try to control the mood and vibe of everything. And Tywin does this in a very interesting way where he doesn't say anything. And, just his silence, while everyone's in there, they're talking and they're arguing, but you can kind of, get the impression that they're still, watching their words and, they're looking for, approval of Tywin. More or less, is my idea going to be a good one here? I mean, some people are oblivious. Swyft is a big idiot. He just keeps moaning and crying.
I love him.
How does this happen? So he's a
His
giant idiot.
sigil
I didn't
fits
realize
him
he was
perfectly.
Here. He shows up later in Feast, right? At court with Cersei.
I believe yes, at Feast and Dance, and what I remember him most from lately is he's in the Mercy chapter.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So that's what I remember him most from, since I watch videos all the time.
He seems oblivious to that whole thing, so he's the anomaly of it. But I don't know, I just got this impression that even though Tywin wasn't saying anything, he still held command and presence over the room. And then even afterwards, when he kicks everybody out, and he's just sitting there with Tyrion. Tyrion is remarkably subdued. I'm getting into my other points, but yeah. Anyway, Tywin, main character.
Yeah, so I was torn. I had Tywin too, basically for the same reasons. The entire chapter is focused on him, listening to his counsel and planning the next steps. But I kind of toy with the idea of Jaime being the main character as well, because it seems like the entire focus is about Jaime and because of Jaime and him being captured. So I was a little torn on that.
Yeah, I'd venture to say that because Tywin does turn his focus in the second half of the chapter to King's Landing and like the screw job that's going on down there. But yeah, he does seem to be a big focal point as to how they operate in the Riverlands now that he's captured. But I don't know with him being so far away and like out of it right now.
Well, which is why I had Tywin written down, but in my mind I was like going
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah.
forth on it.
Yeah, I mean, Jaime being in that predicament definitely gets them arguing now. Like their big loss of Riverrun, and all that coupled together.
Well, yeah, and that can go towards our next point with the biggest influence too. Jaime's situation influences everything that's in there, that's happening in the chapter. Well, not everything, but the majority, like you just said, the first half of the chapter is about Jaime.
Is that who you got for
No.
number 3? So number
For biggest influence, I had the council overall telling the stories of the battle, discussions of surrender and whether or not to take Robb head on, and I have Renly King written here, and that doesn't make any sense because that didn't happen with them. But yeah, I had it as a council.
I had it as Tywin again, having the biggest influence over Tyrion. Tyrion tries to even imitate Tywin because he notices like Tywin seems to always listen to his counselors before he speaks first, or before he speaks. And Tyrion was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do what he does, and like I'm gonna try to like not say as much and just hear whatever he has to say first before someone starts, spouting off the mouth and Tyrion has to speak up," which worked out well. Tywin was just like, "Yeah, like Tyrion's right." But then Tyrion like doesn't even slightly object to being sent away. I mean, he does kind of go like, "Why aren't you sending this person or this person or this person? Like, why me?" Like Tywin saying like, "Because you're my son." Tyrion's already like, "Oh, because he thinks Jaime is like gone." So like now he's recognizing me and all this other stuff. So Tywin, I think definitely had the biggest influence over Tyrion in this chapter here. He's significantly less sassy. I have that in my notes compared to the last time we did the chapter on him a
Tywin is
while
or
ago.
Tyrion is?
Tyrion is less sassy
He was
compared to
quiet
the
most of the
one
chapter.
where he invites he brings the mountain clans in.
Yeah. I know what chapter it was. It was our Tywin
Yeah.
and Timett show or something, right? That episode?
Yeah, the Tywin and Timmy show.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to alternative actions. What should Tyrion have done differently? So I put in all caps, I mean, I always write in all caps, but in especially bigger caps, don't immediately invite Shay to King's Landing. It's like the very next paragraph. Like, Tywin says, don't bring the whore with you to court. And the next paragraph is, hey, Shay, do you want to come with me to King's Landing?
It's like two
It's
or
like,
three paragraphs later,
fuck.
but yes.
It's like the next thing that happens.
It's on the next page, but yes.
It's like, it translates over the pages.
No,
It's
there's
like
another one where it says that Tyrion is sitting in the common room for a while, and then he goes upstairs and he touches Shay's breast, and then there's another passage
at
that
the
says,
top of page 771, you will not take the whore to court. And then he walks to the place, he finds Shay, he grabs her tit, and he says,
"See, that's that's 3 passages later."
But the next line of dialogue, how about that? Tywin says, "Don't take Shay with you," and the next line of dialogue is, I have a mind to take you to King's Landing." Point is,
no, the next dialogue is the Lord. Right above
fuck
that.
Off. Okay. Point is, my pick for what Tyrion should have done differently is not immediately go to Shay, and the next thing Tyrion says after he hears that is, "Why don't you come with me to King's Landing?" I think he should not have done that. Everything else he pretty much nailed. So who do you have, or what do you have for alternative action?
I did not have anything, actually. It's a straightforward chapter, and it's not really about Tyrion. The focus is on Tywin and what's happening in the Riverlands. Like I've said a million times already, it's about Jaime. So I don't necessarily know what Tyrion could have done differently. He sat there during the council. Like, what was there to do differently? And your point kind of leads towards the future.
Yeah, the things Tyrion thinks about saying, he eventually does say, and Tywin's like, "Good job."
Well, except for one time when he said something about you should be glad that Rhaegar is dead or still dead. All right, so our next point is how the events of this chapter affect the other plot. And so it sets up Tyrion going to King's Landing and the ravaging of the Riverlands, which leads to the River Lords leaving Robb to protect their people. That's what happens, right? Because that's how Mallister ends up taking Theon on his way.
Well, Seaguard is kind of well out the way, well away from Harrenhal, so I think his spot's okay.
They're not
Uh,
at
um,
Harrenhal. They're at Riverrun.
well, yeah, Robb and them are at River Run, but Tywin and the Lannisters are at the inn, and then
And
they're
they're going to
making
go to
way to
Harrenhal.
Harrenhal,
Yeah, but what I'm
and they're
saying
gonna
is,
burn everything in that area. So like Seaguard is north of River Run, and
which it
like the
doesn't make
farthest away.
sense.
So Mallister must go there solely just to escort Theon. I don't remember
But
exactly.
so, because I watch videos a million times, Preston points out specifically that Jason Mallister asks for leave because of the whole Riverlands thing. But like you said, Seaguard is out of the way and it's not
Yeah.
being ravaged. But Robb gives him leave, and because it happens to be at the same time, he escorts Theon over there and arranges for him to have passage to Pike. That's all I got.
Yeah, I had a couple here. I mean, there's a lot that can really stretch out. Obviously, sets up Tyrion going to King's Landing, and all kinds of stuff happens there. People die. But I think one of the more important things is Tyrion going there, because he would have lost the battle to Stannis had not Highgarden showed up. But what Tyrion did do that can be solely attributed to him is the destruction of Stannis' fleet, the chain and the wildfire and all that stuff. So Tyrion going here now sets up that. Robb securing River Run, which frees Edmure, and then they have that little miscommunication thing. So anyway, Edmure is free, and he's able to, act and maneuver now. Again, Tyrion decides to bring Shae with him to King's Landing, which, as we know, leads to Tywin's death. And then Gregor and Lorch are unleashed on the Riverlands. A lot of things kind of set up here, and you can take this a million ways. What with Beric and Thoros get mentioned here, so Gregor and Lorch being, quote, unleashed on the Riverlands, like definitely has an effect on their end. It eventually comes around and interacts with Arya. So yeah, there's a lot of things that happen here. Tywin moving to Harrenhal and then moving around does all kinds of stuff. And fucking Renly is named king. That's a big thing. So that gets set up here, and then that leads to the conflict with Stannis and all that stuff. Marjorie Tyrell enters the story. A lot of stuff that kind of plays out later on in more significant ways, but they do get their first mention here, and it's worth noting in this spot.
I think what's
You ready to move on?
interesting, well,
Oh, go ahead.
talking about Gregor, like, I always think of him as just someone who's out in the field and not a lord. I forget that he has lands, and the fact that he's sitting in on Tywin's council, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, because, he's a monster. He's a brute. And for him to be there was just awkward. I would think it's weird. Like, if I was one of the other lords, like, what the fuck is this guy doing here?
Is he the head patriarch of House Clegane yet?
His
Or is
father
their
has
father
been
still
dead.
alive? Okay, so
Yeah.
all right. I mean, I have his one line down in our quote section, but I thought it was
Okay.
like I forgot he was there too, and that he actually spoke. I thought it was interesting that he didn't say a whole lot. Like he only had that one mention of scouts. It's like that's the only thing that interested him. But talking about like River Run falling and Adam Marbrand wanting to fight Robb, like Gregor doesn't say anything. So I thought that was like I would have liked to hear more about him and like what his thoughts are in this whole thing. I don't like him. Obviously, terrible person, psychopath. But because he's a terrible person and a psychopath, I kind of want to know more about what's going on in his head
So
and
was he
like
one
his
of
opinions
your
about stuff.
alt POV options?
No, didn't even think of that actually. I picked Kevin. So Kevin Lannister, mostly to hear his opinion about the Lannister generals. I don't know if Tyrion. I mean, he doesn't, but I don't know if Tyrion would have a whole lot of insight onto like the military specialties of these people. We know Adam Marbrand a little bit about him, but these other guys, they're just names. But I mean, like, that's kind of the point. Like, they're so forgettable. They're just like, here's a list of names of people who are here, and that's about it.
Well,
So
even then,
if
like,
we were in Kevin's head, I imagined we would get some kind of, short summary on each of them.
yeah, and I agree. And I had Tywin slash Kevin. I couldn't, like, Tywin has his whole monologue on his reasoning for doing certain things. So we kind of are, we get his perspective. So that's why I had slash Kevin, because Kevin could, he agrees with his brother. And then I thought it was really weird. Has he always called Tywin my lord?
Don't know.
Because they're brothers. I don't know. It's like, technically it's right, but it's just weird. Um, but because we've read the story before and we know what's going to happen, we know who these people are. But if someone were to be reading the story for the first time, like you mentioned, we know things about Adam Marbrand. He comes more into play. I think it's in Storm of Swords, is when he takes over the City Watch. Does that sound correct? Or it might be Clash. I think it's Storm, though.
Did he take over the City Watch?
Yep, that's what I know about him.
I know he's buddies with Jaime, and
Well, that too.
like he has some dialogue with Jaime.
Yes, and that's what it is. He takes over the City Watch, and then he goes out with Jaime. He's the first sparring partner for Jaime after Jaime loses his hand, and then Jaime switches him out for Ilyn Payne because Ilyn can't talk.
Yeah, he brings Adam with him whenever he's supposed to go retake River Run,
Yeah,
and
so
Adam is his scoutmaster thing.
there's Adam Marbrand. Harry Swyft, again, like at this point, we know nothing about him. I think he's hilarious, but we find out more about him. We see him more throughout the book. So as a first-time reader, like you said, it's a list of names that we're just like, who? I'm not going to remember who this is. Who cares?
Well, Harry's too, like with his like bitching, you're like, why does Tywin allow you here? Like you don't seem like you bring anything to the table, dude. Why?
How does that
So,
work? Like, if
he probably has men, I guess.
if you're the Lord Paramount of a region, like, do you have to allow all of your minor lords to like sit on your war council?
No, Tywin can pick and choose. I would imagine. Like Tywin's the one in charge. I suppose Harry Swift could have some idea at some point or another that has. Oh well, his daughter is married to Kevin, right?
Either to someone in the family, yes.
Yeah, his daughter's Kevin's wife, so
That's
maybe it's
probably
just
why he's
like a.
there.
I did have another point here with Kevin's POV. I wanted to see his reaction when he learns that Tyrion will be acting hand. He leaves the tent before this actually happens, but I'm imagining in like the closing bit of the chapter, he would report back to Tywin, and Tywin would tell him. And I would just like to hear his reaction to it.
You think Tywin hadn't discussed that with him before?
It could have been, yeah,
So I
maybe.
feel like Kevin is his right hand man, and I know in a previous chapter, I don't I don't think it was the one we did the Tywin and Timmy show. Actually, it might be because that was when we got introduced to Tywin, right?
Yeah, they're sitting at the end drinking beer.
Okay, so that might be it. Tyrion has a line specifically because Kevin's talking about something, and he thinks to himself, "My uncle Kevin has never had a thought that basically Tywin hasn't put in his head, or something like that." Something along those lines. So it just makes me wonder.
But yeah, Tywin or Kevin is like Tywin Light. He's
Yeah,
the reason why he thinks so much alike is why, or the reason why he's Tywin's right hand man is because they think so much alike. All right, so now we're going to move on to quotes from this chapter, and I have 4 of them this time.
there's a lot going on in this chapter.
Yeah. So my first one's on 764, and this is Sir Gregor Clegane and his take on scouts and outriders. So he's getting really pissed off that they saw nothing. And he goes, "A man who sees nothing has no use for his eyes," the mountain declared. "Cut them out and give them to your next outrider. Tell him you hope that 4 eyes might see better than 2. And if not, the man after him will have 6. And it's just like, oh. And even Tywin reacted to that. He just like turned and just looked at him. Tyrion says he can't figure out if it's approval or
Or
disgust.
disgust, yeah.
So like Tywin being stone faced and just staring at him, just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, like I was just like, damn, Greg. Chill out, dude. It definitely stood out to me. I thought it was funny. And he's done that before. Like, he's not just like talking shit. Like, Gregor has done
Like
that.
he has literally cut someone's eyes and been like,
Like,
go see
this is
something.
my advice. This is what I have done.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then back unless they actually see something.
All right. Well, since you brought him up, I was gonna start with a different quote, but I'll do another one. This is one of my favorite quotes from the entire series, actually, and it's Tywin talking about everything that's going wrong in King's Landing, and he's talking about the Hound being made Kingsguard. He's like, "You feed your dog bones under the table. You do not seat him beside you on the high bench." And that's always been one of my favorite lines because it makes a lot of sense. And then with him having Gregor sitting at his council, you're doing the same shit.
Yeah. Yeah, kinda. Except Gregor's not a dog.
So
He is
he's a
though.
fucking dog.
He is though. Because the sigil of Clegane is
Yes.
like the three hounds, so.
He's just not called a dog.
Yeah. I mean, Tywin is very hypocritical
Oh,
of like
definitely.
everyone. So like even here, like with you pointing out like Joffrey's treating his dog in a higher position as Gregor sitting at his table. He tells Tyrion, "Don't fuck whores," and Tywin fucks whores.
Do we have proof of that though?
He was fucking Shay when Tyrion killed him.
No, he was shitting when Tyrion killed him.
Okay. Before he took a shit. Well, actually, that's not true. He was not shitting. Remember?
No, he was constipated.
Yeah. So
He
you're
was
wrong.
trying to. Okay.
If we're gonna
Point
nitpick,
being, he wasn't
he was
fucking
fucking
Shay.
Shay, and then he went to go try to take a shit, and then he got killed.
So that's how
And
I
if you want
always.
to get into deeper down into the theory land, like he's the one who created the tunnels to the whorehouse.
But we don't know that, and we also don't know that he was fucking Shay.
No, we
Which
don't
she
know
could
that.
have been planted. So I'm just saying, I don't believe
Oh,
any
come
of it.
on.
I'm playing devil's advocate. Don't look at me like that.
Shay is naked in Tywin's bed,
So
and she was planted there.
I don't know. I think I've read people say that Varys put her there.
Why? Varys was way the fuck down in the tunnels.
Dude, fuck, I don't know. I didn't say I believed it.
You're bringing it up like it's a valid argument. It's not.
Because I'm defending Tywin because we don't have any concrete proof that he fucks whores. It's all speculation.
Oh. It's from the fucking books.
No, it's not. Okay, fine. Sorry that I'm trying to defend somebody who isn't a Stark
Tywin is
girl.
not worth defending. Tywin is a giant piece of shit.
I like Tywin.
Why?
I was just gonna say he's a good person.
How many times have you read the books again? I've only done it once, so maybe I'm missing something here, but how is Tywin a good person?
I don't fucking know.
Cold, ruthless, efficient. Like, if he's on your side and you need bad stuff done, he's useful in doing that. But he's self-serving, like in the
So?
most minute detail of that word. That's not good. A good person is not self-serving to where they fuck over everybody that's not them. He's a horrible father. He's not a good person.
No, he's not a good person. I don't know why those words came out of my mouth.
He manipulates people.
I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking, but I do
He
like
tells
him as a
Tyrion
character.
he forced. Oh yeah, as a character, like super interesting, very
Okay,
good
so
character.
let's just forget that I said good person because I don't know why that.
He's not worthy of defending.
Fine.
I'm not calling his character dumb. I'm not calling his character useless. He's a giant hypocritical bastard, and he did fuck Shay.
What's your next quote?
Read the books. That's my next quote. Is read the
I
books.
fucking hate you. I
Page
swear to God, you're such a
7.
fucking dick.
I mean, they might have skipped over in the audiobooks. I don't know. In 770,
I
Tyrion,
really wish I could punch you in the face.
Tywin says, "If Cersei cannot curb the boy, you must. And if these counselors are playing us false," Tyrion knew. "Spikes," he sighed. "Heads, walls." "I see you have taken a few lessons from me," Tywin said. So I like that one. Spikes, heads, walls. Yep, I know. A clever little line there from Tyrion.
Oh, I liked it because it was
Spikes
like,
and
I know, shut up, I know.
Kill everybody.
I
I get
got it.
it.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And that's why, like, when it comes up later, I think it's in Feast when Jenna's talking to Jaime, and telling him that Tyrion is really Tywin's son. That's just another example. He thinks like his father.
Yeah, I would use the earlier part where Tyrion speaks up and then Tywin says you're right. Like, but yeah, I think that's more of an indicator than I know, chop people's heads off if they're bad.
Well, I think this whole
Um,
chapter could be a testament to that
yeah,
he is Tywin's son.
yeah, characteristically, he has they share similar traits and
Okay.
a similar way of thinking. But it's mostly because like they all want to impress Tywin and like they put Tywin on such a high pedestal that they seek his approval constantly.
Does Jaime do that though?
Jaime definitely seeks Tywin's approval.
I think Jaime just automatically gets it. I don't know that does Jaime do anything purposely to get approval from his father?
I mean, he's always been the golden boy, so like it's always been like a thing he's known. So like whenever Tywin like he snaps at him at some point or another and storms swords, right? And Jaime's just like, I'm Jaime though. You can love me. He seems like he gets his feelings hurt.
Hmm. I'm
Maybe that's the show. I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't read
We'll have to look
in
for it because
a
I'm
long
I'm
time.
blanking on that.
We'll get to that chapter in like a year and a half.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
be a
did
while.
have
Wait, it's
this
my
thought
turn.
where. Oh, okay. No, you mentioned
I did the
that it's
dog
your
after you
turn.
did your dog.
You mentioned that it's your turn, so go ahead.
Okay,
I just have
so
one left.
my other quote is on 765, and it's whoever's giving the report.
The messenger, yeah, he's a Craig guy.
And he says, Great John Umber fired the siege towers we were building, and Lord Blackwood found Sir Edmure Tully in the chains among the other captives and made off with them all. And I just thought it was funny because I remember one of our first episodes, we were like, oh, Edmure got captured? And then we were like, oh, he got captured again? How did he get released? Well,
Yeah.
there we go. There's one of the times.
To piggyback on that, and to build on this running theme that the Blackwoods are a bunch of pansies. Um, so Titus Blackwood is holed up in River Run. He waits until the camp between the rivers, or like two of the camps are overrun. The Lannisters like form a shield wall and a spear wall, and then like once they do that, then Titus Blackwood sallies out from the castle to hit him from behind. It's like how honorable of that. You don't do fucking shit for forever. You're the last people left alive, so you're just like, I guess we get to have River Run now. And then you retreat, and then you don't do anything. You hold the castle until Robb comes and saves you, and then you come in at the last minute to attack people from behind.
Don't they do that
Like,
like 3 times?
I don't know, but they do it here, and it's like just another reason. Like Bracken's, like they die like headlong in the fight, and the Blackwoods are always retreating or hitting people from behind, at the end of the battle or something like that. So a bunch of pansies. Smart, tactical, sure, but I read that and I was like, of course they did. Of course they did. My next quote's on 768, and this is basically Tywin saying that Stan is the man. And he goes, I have felt from the beginning that Stannis was the greater danger than all the others combined. Yet he does nothing. Varys hears his whispers. Stannis is building ships. Stannis is hiring sellswords. Stannis is bringing the Shadowbinder from Bashai. What does it mean? Is any of it true? Kevin, bring us the map. So I think Tywin could do with a couple of flea bottom fandom theories. You know, what does this all mean? Is this actually true? Like, what's going on here? Like,
Let's get
he
some
could talk
theories
to
on what
Jen.
Stannis is doing.
Yeah, he could get some loadout on it. So, but anyway, the main point of that is Tywin's just like Stannis is like more of a threat than like anyone else, and then all of them together combined, Stannis is still someone I would worry about more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a testament to how much, or well, either how low he thinks of Cersei and Joffrey running King's Landing, or of how high he thinks of Tyrion that he's going to send Tyrion to go defend King's Landing against Stannis. So you can take that either way. I tend to think it's more of like he's just like Cersei's gonna fuck this up so bad. Like I don't think Tyrion would fuck up as much as she would.
Yeah,
So Tyrion, you go do this,
I think
and
it's
not
more
just
on that
Tyrion.
side.
You would save us against Stannis. Like if Tywin's worried about Stannis, he's not like, well, Tyrion will handle it. I'm sure. He's just
Yeah.
like, hopefully he holds on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of Tyrion can't fuck this up any more than they already have.
Right.
Okay, so for standout appearances, my first one is Harry Swyft. I think the man is fucking amazing.
I don't like him.
Starting on 765, he's so fucking dramatic. How could it happen? He wailed again. Sir Jaime taken, the siege is broken, this is a catastrophe. And he has so many pieces throughout here, and basically he's given up, and his sigil suits him because technically it's a rooster, but he's a fucking chicken. And I just think it's hilarious. I think it's so funny that he has no balls and that he's acting that way in front of Tywin. Like, you know who Tywin is. Like, how could you fucking man up or something? Hold it
Yeah.
together.
His lack of resolve is concerning.
I just find it hilarious.
Makes it all the more interesting how he is still one alive in the Winter, and then how he's being given tasks to do.
Yeah, because he ends up on the small council.
Yeah, and apparently he ends up getting sent on a mission to Bravos.
Yeah, because I think he's the master of coin.
So my standout appearance is Sir Adam Marbrand. So mainly because he's the only one of Tywin's guys that speaks with some sort of rationality and, not brutality like Gregor, not, talking like a giant pussy like Harry Swyft, and like he's the only one that kind of speaks what I would consider normal. So mainly what he says over here, and the one that stood out to us, is 2 battles do not make a war. Talking about how Robb has won 2 battles. We are far from lost. I should welcome the chance to try my own steel and this Stark boy. And that brought us to our weekly poll.
Which I completely forgot about till right now.
So it got heated. And I was like, this is hilarious. People are just ripping each other to pieces. And
You picked a good topic.
People, and they're trolling. And there's a lot happening here, and I dug it. So before we get into the results, because you haven't seen the... since you forgot about it, you don't know what the final count is. Who do you think would win between Robb and Adam?
Who do I personally think would win, or who do I think won in the poll?
No, who do you think would win? Not the poll. The scenario is the 2 armies are clashing. Robb is doing his thing, Adam's doing his thing, and then stuff happens, and then they're just like, oh, fuck, you're Robb Stark. Robb probably wouldn't recognize who Adam Marbrand is. So he'd just be like, there's another dude I gotta go kill. And that kind of like showed my cards a little bit, but go ahead.
So, because you had the caveat later on throughout the comments that Grey Wind was not there, I take Marbrand.
Yeah.
Had Grey Wind been there, then obviously Robb.
Obviously, Grey Wind is going to be riding next to Robb in any battle. So given that scenario where it takes a couple minutes, for Adam and Robb to meet each other on the field, I think it's logical to assume that Grey Wind might get carried off,
Yeah, they
ripping
can
out
get
some horse's
separated.
throat somewhere down the line.
Definitely.
So the
He's
caveat
probably
was,
chasing horses.
yeah, or maybe he's hungry and he started eating. I don't know. But the caveat was the duel lasts for somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes before Grey Wind gets his green seared spider sense going off, and then he tries to make his way back to Robb. Seems legit enough. I doubt Grey Wind is at his hip the entire time. So we have a 10 to 15 minute duel, and after that, Grey Wind comes in.
That's a really long time.
Well, have you ever been in a fight?
No.
Okay,
But I feel like I feel like that's a really long time.
Well, that was the stipulation I put on the poll. So, you think Marbrand wins if Grey Wind's not there? You think Robb wins if Grey Wind is there?
Yeah.
So I think because there's no reason for Robb to know who Marbrand is, and then for all intents and purposes, Robb Stark would probably stand out in a battle. Adam would be able to recognize him. Robb might take him lightly for some kind of foot soldier. Adam would probably get the jump on him with surprising him with like how good he is. and then depending on how Robb reacts in that minute, could determine like how this duel goes out. So Adam has a chance to win this thing in like the opening 2 or 3 minutes, just by overwhelming him.
If Adam
Um,
can get to him, I agree with you. But remember, Robb rides with his own like personal guard all the time. So you'd have to get rid of Greywyn and those people in order for it to be Marbrand and Robb single
no, I'm sure
combat.
Marbrand has his own guard too.
Is he important enough to have his own guards?
In this scenario, Adam's leading that army.
But okay, fine.
He would have somebody next to him. He's not just gonna fuck off by himself.
Why are we arguing? We both agree that Marbrand wins.
Well, no, like I'm trying to discuss this out. If you want to move on, then we can just move on.
No, I'm just go ahead.
Yeah, Marbrand being like in charge of this army makes sense that he would have some kind of entourage around him. Whether they're like named people that we get backstories and like dialogue from is another story. But Adam's a fully grown man. He was childhood friends with Jaime, so he's about Jaime's age. So he's physically filled out, where Robb is 15 or 16 years
Child.
old. I can beat up 15 and 16-year-olds. So it makes sense that Adam would have.
Sorry.
It makes sense that Adam would have like a physical advantage over him, and then if Robb takes him lightly, I can't imagine Robb treats every single footman that he meets with some kind of like, you are a very skilled person, and I'm going to take you super seriously. He's probably just hacking and slashing, right?
Yeah.
But I think Adam has a chance in the opening minutes to get him. After that, if Robb can recognize that he's in for a bit more of a fight than he's used to, then it could even out. And if he holds on long enough for Greywyn to show up. So that's my thing. Adam can win in the first 3 minutes. If Robb lasts longer than that, then Robb could win with help.
So what did the poll results say?
For 66 votes to win the duel, Robb Stark, and 34 votes to Adam Marbrand.
Probably name recognition like we had with last week, where Barristan won that poll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so granted, again, our group is A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, so there are people who haven't read the books who are still participating who have no idea who Adam Marbrand is, and they just recognize Robb's name.
Did you know that Adam Marbrand actually appeared in the show?
Yes, I did. Isn't he only like in season 1?
I don't know. I don't remember him at all.
I don't remember him either. I just know because I read it the other day.
Remember, I know like the Marbrand sigil is at the turn or the hand, the turning of the hand.
Are they the burning tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Moses burning bush thing.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is.
I wouldn't know.
What does that mean?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Adam speaks with the voice of God.
Side note, this
and then he's God speaking, and he speaks most to Jaime, so is Jaime Moses?
No.
I don't know, but like the burning bush is obviously like the first thing that comes to my mind is Moses.
Yeah.
But there's like nothing to follow up on it, so like I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to do.
Okay, so for another thing for standout, I have Lannister pride. So one of my favorite scenes from the show is Tywin yelling, they have my son. So he says that twice here in the chapter. And then you had mentioned it earlier, how when he decides to send Tyrion realizes that Tywin has given up on Jaime, and it's not funny, but I find it kind of ironic how much Tyrion really cares about Jaime. Like in this chapter, a lot of his thoughts, Jaime isn't lost, Jaime isn't dead. He really, really loves his brother. And at this point in the books, we don't know of Jaime doing anything bad to Tyrion, acting maliciously towards him or anything like that. So it seems like they would have a really good relationship. 2 books later, we find out that Jaime told him some fucked up shit because of Tywin. But other than that, they had a really good relationship, and it's kind of heartwarming.
Yeah, Jaime has that line to Cat and I think it's her last chapter of Clash, where he says, "I am loved by one for a kindness I never did, and reviled by so many for my finest act." And like that first part, "loved by one for a kindness I never did," is him talking about Tyrion.
For a kindness I never did.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Tyrion thinks that he like wasn't a part of the Taisha thing, and like he like helped Tyrion facilitate that, and then like afterwards, like he admits it to him. But like that's like the big thing, or like one of the big moments in Tyrion's life that drew him to Jaime. Like Jaime was nice to him and treated him like a person, sure, but then this whole Taisha thing was a big moment for Tyrion, and Jaime sided with him, or like he was a positive influence in that part until we find out he wasn't. But that whole thing is Jaime talking about Tyrion, the only person that loves him for something that he didn't actually do, and then the good thing that he did, and then everybody hates him for it.
I'm gonna have to go read that because I don't think I ever took it that way. I thought he was talking about somebody else. Like,
What else would he have be talking
is it
about?
like plainly written out that that's what the situation is?
No, no. He just says it to Cat in passing. And then later, like, you find out, you're like, that's what he meant. But it's
Okay,
never, yeah, when I said that thing to Cat, I meant this.
I'll just have to go back and read
There's
because
not a sense
maybe
make Martin where he's like, this is what he means. It's that, like, he said it, and then you find out in the next book, and you're just like, oh, that's messed up.
I'll have to go look because I don't know.
Because it's
But
part of the whole turning Tyrion's life upside down after the end of Clash.
yeah, well that happens
But
in
yeah.
Storm, but yeah.
So now let's move on to theory.
I do not have any theories, but I have a what if question. So what if the Lannisters didn't go to Harrenhal? Where else could they have
What do
gone?
they do in Harrenhal?
They go sit there.
And then eventually they leave, I guess.
Yeah, because they have to go rescue King's Landing
And Greg hangs out there for a minute.
with the Bloody Mummers.
So why does Tywin call Harrenhal the Seat of Kings?
I don't know, because it was Harry in the Black, and then after Harry in the Black, it was Aegon, and he gave it to Lords, so I don't know.
I wonder if he's just calling it that because it's one of the bigger castles
Because
in
it's
the
supposed to
realm.
be like the greatest castle,
Yeah, I mean it's like burnt to fuck, so it
but
doesn't look
still,
all that
it's
nice. But like if it's like it's a good place to hold for like military engagements, but like calling it a Seat of Kings should make it sound grand. And I suppose at one point it was, but that was 300 years ago. It's just weird why Tywin would call Harrenhal. That used to be the Seat of Kings, and they gave it to Janos fucking Slint. Ah, like, he's really triggered by it. I don't know why. Like Tywin's never shown any interest to Harrenhal,
well, I
and it doesn't
can't
make any
think
sense. So,
of.
like I wonder if that was like a thing George had ideas for, because like it's never brought up again ever
Well, we don't know
that
about Harry
Harrenhal.
in the Black yet, right? Like we don't hear about him. Do we not know about him till the World Book?
I mean, no. I mean, there might be like some brief passing thing, but even in the World Book, like he was just an Iron Islander who conquered the Riverlands, named himself King of Island and River, and talked shit to Aegon, and then Aegon burned the fuck out of him, and that was it. So it's just really weird because Harrenhal's never referred to as the Seat of Kings ever again. It's like I wonder if like George's like, I have a plan, and then he forgot about it, or he just was like, nah, I can't do anything with this shit. So
I think it might be just because it's supposed to be such a grand castle, and after Harry in the Black, it could have been the people that received it after that. I can't remember who the first family was. Like I know it goes through Lawson, Went, and all those people, but
yeah,
possibly
I can trace it back near history.
like maybe the first couple families that it went through, they were traditionally kings of the Trident or kings of whatever area.
I mean,
After
to me,
it
like everybody was in the Riverlands was a
was
king
their
at
own
one point.
goddamn king. Yes.
So, I mean, he's not wrong. The Brackens, like, Stonehenge was the seat of kings at one point.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, if you guys got any ideas or stuff, like, drop it down in the comments there and let us know. Why Harrenhal is the seat of kings?
What are we missing? Is there something that we're just stupid and we're not getting it?
Yeah. Because I don't fucking get it. So, and I'll probably hate whatever you bring up anyway. I've been on this weird anti-theory trend for like the last couple of weeks where I just hate everything. It's weird. I haven't always been like this. I used to look at stuff and be like, ooh, I wonder if that's a thing. But now I'm just like, nah.
You need to be a little more open-minded at least so that we can discuss them. You don't have to believe them, but be open to discussing them.
You would bring me a theory worth discussing.
Fucking stab you.
You can't do that. You got any closing thoughts here, Lillian?
Next, we have Catelyn 11, where Robb is named King of the North, and we will be having a special guest on that episode.
Ooh, nice. So yeah, it seems like that about wraps it up for us, guys. So let us know what you think. What do you think of Tywin's decision to name Tyrion as Hand here? And join the group, ASOIAF/GOT discussions and theories.
Yes.
So it's really good. A lot of interesting topics and discussion and stuff going on there. So if you're not a part of the group, go ahead and you can give us a join and enter the conversation. That's all I got.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.